Hello, so today I want to talk about how your clairs or your psychic abilities are all on a spectrum. Now, I know I spoke a little bit about this in two previous videos about aphantasia in relationship to your clairaudience and your clairvoyance. But as I delve deeply into these subjects, I realized that all of your clairs are also on a spectrum. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that essentially you have all your abilities at varying levels. So some of you may have them higher or lower, that they are more turned on, like the volume is essentially turned up for these psychic abilities, while others are turned down low. And so each of us has these at varying levels, all the way from maybe turned down so low that you can't even tell that it exists or that you even have psychic abilities, to maybe turned all the way up to the point that they are so strong that they are actually somewhat of a phenomenon, right? So most of us are somewhere in the middle of all of this, but each of our abilities are on this spectrum, okay, from one end to the other. And like I said, most of us fall somewhere in the middle. So any of our clairs, whether or not is clairvoyance or clairaudience or whatever, each of these are individually on their own spectrum. Okay, so like for clairvoyance, for an example, you may have very strong clairvoyance. You may be able to visualize something so strongly that it seems so vivid in your mind's eye, while others may not be able to visualize anything at all. And others may be able to visualize it a little bit and essentially catch a hint of that within their mind space. So as you can see, it's creating this spectrum of an ability and how strong it is or how weak it is. But keep in mind, and please remember, that this doesn't mean that you don't have abilities, because you do. And also, before you're born, before you come into this manifest physical world, in this physical experience, your psychic abilities, these clairs, are all turned on high. They're all the way up. They're all the way open. You're using them all the time, right? Because like you have physical senses for your physical body, you have energetic senses for your energetic body, and that's what these are. They are going to be turned on high at this point when you're in that energetic space, because you use these energetic senses to send and receive energetic information, okay? So they're a super useful tool that you use whether or not you're just in energetic form, or actually you use them also when you are in physical form as well. And when you pass, when you move out of this physical form and back into your energetic body, then they're turned back on high again. But now the question leads to, why aren't they on high when you're in your physical body having this physical experience? And that is because it is necessary for your physical journey, for this physical story that you're embodying and that you're on, to be at whatever level they are at currently, okay? There is a reason for how they are manifesting and what they're manifesting as, and whatever tools that you need during this physical experience, your physical story, right? But that isn't to say that you can't turn those abilities up higher. And you can. And you can turn any of them up higher that you want to. And if you're ever interested in doing this with me, I will put my contact information below. I love working with people and helping them to strengthen their abilities. But like I said, each of us has these varying abilities, right? At these varying levels, whether or not they're turned on high, turned down low, or somewhere in between, okay? And yeah, this is how they're supposed to be. This is what makes you incredibly unique, because if you think about it, all right, think about, all right, for me, for an example, all right, my psychic abilities when I came into this physical world, that my clairsentience was super high, but my clairvoyance was super low, and my other two clairs were somewhere in the middle, okay? Now, this is going to manifest as a whole differently than someone else that maybe came into this experience, into this manifest world with their clairvoyance on high and their clairsentience on low and their other ones wherever, right? So as a whole, their clairs, their psychic abilities, that manifestation of them are going to look completely different than mine, right? So you can see the difficulty that I would have if I was trying to compare my abilities to someone else, right? You could see that it wouldn't look or sound or feel like mine. It wouldn't manifest in the same way. So this is why it's so important to value and appreciate how your abilities manifest and what they look like and how they feel and sound and whatever, right? Because that is uniquely you. That is the way that your abilities manifest for you, and that's how they should look. That's what they should be like. All right. So try to appreciate and stop comparing your abilities to someone else. It's just not meant to look and feel and sound like someone else's. And like I said, just because yours may be higher or lower than mine or anyone else's does not make you any less than or greater than anyone else. We're all the same, because as soon as we shed these physical bodies, right, and go back into that energetic experience, our abilities are all going to be on high, exactly the same, because they are senses, right? Just like our physical senses, they are senses. They are something that we all have. We all have them. They are super normal and super natural, okay? And just like sometimes in this physical experience, you know, maybe our eyesight isn't as good or our hearing isn't as good or whatever, that doesn't make us less than or greater than anybody else. It just means that this is what we're working with, right? And that just like with our physical senses, our other senses will get stronger to compensate. This is the same with our energetic senses. So for an example, my clairvoyance isn't necessarily very strong, and I don't have a very strong ability to have an inner image. But that means that my other clairs compensate, and they get that much stronger to compensate for my inability to have that strong visualization ability, okay? So yeah, it's going to even manifest differently even further, which makes me uniquely me. And the same is true for you. It makes you uniquely you. So yeah, all your clairs are on a spectrum individually and as a whole. And so appreciate that spectrum. Appreciate that you are somewhere in that spectrum and that each of your clairs is somewhere in that spectrum. And that's what makes you unique. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I have another great video that talks further about why it's important to not compare your abilities and why this makes you amazingly unique. So check out that video here. I'll put that link here. And thank you so very much for watching today. I really hope that you got a lot out of this video, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.